They have to figure this out, right? I mean, I don't think that there'll be just calls for scalps on both sides of the aisle if they let taxes go up and these spending cuts happen.
Welcome to NewsBeast, back in the saddle at the IAC building, post-Thanksgiving break. We've got David Freedlander, we have Abby Pesta in the house. Hello. We're going to be talking about Fiscal Cliff and a story you have in the new Newsweek on Cambodian sex slavery. The segue will be seamless. David, let's talk Fiscal Cliff. Okay. Congress is coming back. It's awful nice of them after 2.5 months of vacation and election. The lame duck meets the Fiscal Cliff. That's my headline. How do you see this playing out?
I mean, they have to figure this out, right? I mean, I don't think that there'll be just calls for scalps on both sides of the aisle if they let taxes go up and these spending cuts happen. So, I think the smart money is that they figured out at some point right now whether or not they sort of let go off the cliff, so to speak, which is actually better thought of as a slope, right? Because it's not as if all of a sudden everybody owes more and all of a sudden these cuts happen immediately. But there's a way in which you sort of just lean over the cliff, come back, and then do the cuts and figure out the spending side of it, I think.
So the slope argument is sort of, and some folks on the far left are trying to say this isn't so bad, don't worry about this. But I mean, the markets would certainly treat it as a cliff if we went over.
Momentarily, right? I mean, that day, I'm sure there would be a drop. But it's not as if like we would be plunging into October 08 for the next week, right?
I wonder, though, I think the basic plan, Abby, as has been discussed is, look, let's see if we can come up with a deal, but at the very least, let's put a patch on it until maybe we can get kind of a tax reform basis grand bargain. Mm-hmm. How do you see this playing out? What's your vote?
I think we need to get those binders full of women busy and
really
get the job
done. We're going to go back to binders full of women?
Okay. They're taking over the Senate.
That is true. But I mean, are you saying that maybe the next Congress would be better equipped to handle this than the lame duck?
I hope so. Who knows?
I don't know.
I mean, smart money again is on a patch, right? I
yes.
mean, if Congress can kick the can down the road even slightly and push it on, they'll do that. It seems to me. So if they can sort of figure out a way to save the cliff, deal with the other stuff down the road, I think that's what the outcome.
Because it is a lot to ask the lame duck to come up with a grand bargain that involves tax reform, entitlement reform, and spending cuts. Yeah. Although I'm more likely to trust the guts of a lame duck Congress than I am a newly elected Congress. Do you have any guesses about anything else they will do this lame duck?
Oh, I think they have their hands full of this lame duck. I can't imagine. I mean, if you're asking about sort of filibuster reform or something like that?
Well, maybe like the last time they almost passed the DREAM Act. Does that come back again? Post office reform, something I'm fired up.
Yeah, I think it seems like they have their hands full for this lame duck. Probably into the next session, it could be derailed by some of these procedural reforms in the Senate. But.
All right. So all Fiscal Cliff all the time.
All Fiscal Cliff.
Fiscal Cliff meets the lame duck. All right. Abby, you have a story in the new Newsweek. Here's the segue I'm going to try. Yeah. President Obama last week was in Cambodia.
That's right. The first presidential visit. That's
right. Tell folks about your story, because the Cambodian sex slavery problem is something Somali Mom and others have helped give attention to, but this is a very personal story.
It is. It's about a girl who ran away from home when she was a kid. She got swooped up off the street, captured and enslaved in the basement of a brothel in Cambodia. So before she was 10 years old, she was forced to have sex with men every day.
And I was sleep with men, many men. If I said no, I would not get food or water.
But her story is unique because, well, she's one of the lucky ones. She escaped. A client brought her out of the brothel after several years to his own home, and she got out through a window and found a policeman. And luckily, it was a policeman who helped her out, who didn't just give her back to the brothel for a payout, because Cambodia is very poor and corrupt, and it happens. So she got herself out and got herself, the police helped her get to a foundation that kind of, helped her get rehabilitated as much as you possibly can after having such an experience. And
what was her name and where was she kept?
Her name is Sripik Lok, and she's 20 years old now. And what she's doing is really interesting. She is hosting a radio talk show in Cambodia, interviewing former sex slaves. It's really unheard of for a young woman to be on the air every day talking about these stories, and she's had a phenomenal response. She said people call in, they report suspicious situations, and they ask why more pimps and traffickers aren't getting arrested. It's a really breakthrough show.
David, I mean, this has been a quiet epidemic, obviously, going on for decades, but it's gotten a lot more attention in recent years. To what extent did Hillary Clinton's efforts as Secretary of State help elevate this issue on the world stage, do you think?
Yeah, it seems like the attention, and I certainly defer on these questions, but it seems like the attention is sort of predated Hillary Clinton, right? I mean, it's going back 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
Do we know why that is? Is it a matter of the sort of incidence rising, the reporting?
Well, the State Department, Hillary has been great in raising awareness, but also the State Department for years has put out an annual report, the Trafficking in Persons report, that ranks all these countries. You know, it ranks Cambodia. It's a huge global problem. It's a giant business. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. The State Department says there are 27 million people who are enslaved today around the world. So it's not just Cambodia. It's a huge...
Right. In 25,
I mean, that's
30
like
years
3 New
ago.
York cities.
Right.
Yeah,
Sure.
Tremendous. Yeah.
25, 30 years ago, would this have been the case? Do we think?
I think,
Maybe just not
I
reported.
Yeah, I think so. It's been going on since the dawn of time. It's just in recent years, people have started to pay attention.
Right. And then, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry,
Go, please.
Okay. Before, because we're going to do the final word, but first, I just want to, and this is to both of you quickly, the significance of President Obama visiting Cambodia as well. Burma got a lot of attention, Thailand less so, but what are the ripples when President Obama visits a country like Cambodia? What was the real politic behind it, and what happened on the ground? Both of you quickly.
I was interested to hear that it was the first time a president had been there. I didn't realize that. So I hope the country gets its act together. It's a terribly poor country. It's always ranked as one of the most corrupt, and maybe if they feel like they're a part of the world stage, they'll, crack down.
Country,
it is beautiful, yeah.
The killing fields certainly. Folks who haven't watched the movie. David, any thoughts on that Asian tour of the president?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably right. It's hard to know unless you're in the country what it's like to sort of receive the presidential visit. I would think that, all of a sudden it does feel like you're on the map in a way you probably feel like maybe you're a little forgotten otherwise.
I will say, for what it's worth, that Teddy Roosevelt promised a Pacific century 100 years ago, so we're just getting around to it. Final word.
Slope.
Slope. We're doing slope, not cliff. All right. Okay.
That's slavery.
Slope and slavery. Wow. I know. That's exactly what I was thinking, Kathy. I was S word post Thanksgiving. Slay. Because inevitably we're heading there. That's all for us for NewsBeast. Back in the IAC building. We'll see you here tomorrow.
But, there's a way in which you sort of just lean over the cliff, come back, and then do the cuts and figure out the spending side of it, I think.
So you're